Hello and welcome to Top Story. Georgia's relations with its northern neighbour Russia took yet another turn for the worse on Tuesday when it accused the Russians of violating its airspace and firing a missile at the village of Tsitel-Ubani, 65 kilometres from the capital, Tbilisi. Georgia said radar had shown that two Su-24 jet fighters had penetrated 70 kilometres into Georgia before firing the missile. Russia has categorically denied the attack, just as it has denied other air attacks on Georgian territory in the past. Relations between the two countries, never good since the breakup of the Soviet Union, nosedived last year when Georgia expelled 4 Russian army officers it accused of spying. Russia retaliated by closing its borders with Georgia, expelling hundreds of Georgians from Russian cities, and imposing a painful economic blockade on Georgian wine, fruit and mineral water. Georgia accuses Russia of seeking to destabilize the country by providing political and moral support to its breakaway provinces of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, while Russia is angered by Georgia's determination to join NATO. Well, joining me now to guide us through the complexities of the Georgian-Russian relationship is Galia Ackerman, a specialist on the post-Soviet states. Thanks very much, Galia, for being on Top Story. Assuming that the Georgians are right, that the Russians were responsible for this, the question, I suppose, is why? What do they want to gain from it?
Well, I think there is one new element which is relatively recent in this question. You know that South Ossetia, of course, has a separatist government, and until a few months ago, there was no control whatsoever of Georgia over this territory. Now, several months ago, there was a parallel election, and there is now a pro-Georgian parallel government, which indeed governs a part of Ossetian territory. So this government, led by an ethnic Ossetian, Sanakoyev, got some success because, you know, it's a very poor territory. There is no real budget there whatsoever. And now the Georgian populated villages, but also, of course, there are some Ossetian population there as well, are getting budget allocations from Tbilisi, which improved considerably their situation. There were new schools built, new roads, some sport facilities, some pensions have been paid, and so on. So there is a positive example, one can say, for this, for the rest of Ossetian population. They know that they can have, like Acharia is now a totally autonomous region, but under Georgian.
But why should the Russians want to prevent that?
Because they are interested to control parts of Georgian territory in order to destabilize Georgia. You know, once Georgia joins NATO, once Georgia maybe has a closer association, economic association with the West, participates actively in oil and gas projects and so on, this is a territory which can never go back to the Soviet Union if a new kind of empire is reconstructed.
But why does Georgia exercise the Russian minds quite so much? Tiny territory, not much bigger than Scotland or Belgium. Russia is huge. Why should it get so worked up about a country as small as Georgia that simply wants to join the West?
But you know, again, Georgia, of course, is a small country. It has only 4 million of inhabitants. So in itself, it probably is not very important. But there are oil and gas pipelines which go through Georgia. There is also an example for maybe future Armenia or other countries of the region. Azerbaijan has a half-half position because on one hand Azerbaijan has a good relationship with Russia, but it also has very good and strong relation with Georgia, and there is this Guam organization which includes Georgia, Azerbaijan, Ukraine and Moldavia. It's kind of a strong pole which is opposed to this Soviet continuation, which is now the path taken by Russia. So Georgia is a very strong motor for this whole parallel, different development.
The Georgian president, Mikhail Saakashvili, says that this attack represents not just a problem for Georgia, but a problem for European security and safety as well. Is he right?
Well, of course, if one country can just decide to shoot a missile against another country, it is a problem of European security. But I think, you know, the real good way to establish the truth would be for either for United Nations or for the European Union, I don't know, to establish a commission and to check these Georgian accusations. If they are true, some measures should be taken. I mean, one cannot just fire missiles against an independent country.
And this is not the first time that something like this has happened. There are several precedents for this, in fact. In the past, the Georgians have called for international commissions.
Yes, of course, but now also, you know, there is this decision to hold the Winter Olympic Games of 2012 in Sochi, which is just nearby. So somehow, I think Russia should avoid situations like this.
You wouldn't have thought it was in Russia's interest to attract this sort of negative publicity at a time when it's trying to present a positive image to the rest of the world over the Olympics.
Well, Olympics are for years ahead of us, and the development in Ossetia, if this government of Sanakoyev succeeds to bring some stability to a part of this tiny territory, which is South Ossetia, maybe people think it's a huge territory. It's just maybe
it's tiny,
tiny, and it is altogether 50 or maybe 60,000 people living there. So if there is a positive incitement, maybe the South Ossetia crisis can be solved pacifically.
I suppose the big issue, the one issue that really does trouble the Russians is Georgia's determination to join NATO.
I think it is the most important, yes. But more the Russia opposes it, more stronger will be Georgia's determination to join NATO, I think.
And it does seem to be something that is going to happen. The signals coming from the United States, in particular towards Georgia joining, seem to be pretty positive.
Yes, for sure. And of course, Russia knows that once Georgia joins NATO, it is finished, it is over.
Okay, Galia, thanks very much. That's all we have time for today. Thanks very much to Galia Ackerman. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Top Story. Goodbye for now.